Hi, this is Joanne Hewins with LoveToCreate.typepad.com. Today I have a card that has a little bit of masking to it. It's a simple one-layer card, but it does have a masking technique, and I wanted to share that with you. We'll be using the stamp sets Nature's Beauty and the Snowfront stamp set. These are both in the holiday catalog. Now, the Nature's Beauty is in the very, very back of the catalog, so don't miss it. It's one that you might just want to have. So let's get started. And the first thing that I'm going to do is make a mask for the deer. So I'm going to bring in the deer stamp. I'm going to go ahead and use Early Espresso because that's the color that I'm going to be stamping him in. And I want to make sure when I stamp, I'm going to stamp on the sticky note, and I want to make sure that part of it gets on the sticky part here. So I'm going to stamp it so that those ears go up there into the sticky part. And I wanted to make more than one mask. Otherwise, if it would have fit, I could have put it, and it would have fit, I could have put it this way and had a little bit more of the sticky. But I was trying to get more than one deer. So I'm going to close this, even though I'm going to open it right back up in a second. I'm going to pull this off, and I'm just going to cut out one of these for you because I have a couple others already done. And what I'm going to do is just cut right on the line. Just cut around the deer. And my cutting on this might not be super perfect. It's going to be okay. Now, usually when I make a mask for one of my stamps, I keep it as long as there's some sticky left on the sticky note. I keep my mask in case I want to use them again. And what I do is I just stick them right inside the cover of the stamp set. And that way I know where it is, and it's where it will match a stamp. So that's what I would suggest you do. Now, I'm not cutting in between the legs. I'm just going to leave it like this because I don't need anything. I'm not going to stamp something that goes back there. So let me hold on to this for a minute. My papers for this card is Pool Party for the base, and the Pool Party is 5.5 by 8.5. I scored this at 4 1/4, 4 1/4, and then I'm going to bring in my bone folder real quick to just burnish that fold for a little bit. And I'm going to set that aside. And then I have a piece of Early Espresso that is 4 by 5 1/4 or 5 1/4, and 2 pieces of Whisper White that are 3 3/4 by 5. I will have the measurements on my blog post, and that will be linked to this video, so it will be there. The first thing that I'm going to do for my card is stamp this deer right here. When masking, the thing that you want to be closest to the front is the thing that you're going to stamp first. So let me open up my Early Espresso again, and we'll ink up the deer, and it's going to go right about there. Now I'm going to bring in the mask and attach it to my stamped image. And I want to get it right on top. There, that's pretty close. All right, now I'm ready to stamp this deer that you can see is hidden a little bit behind the first one. So let me ink up, and we'll do this one down to the down a little bit and over more to the left. And you can see part of it is hidden right here. Part of that went onto the mask. And I see I've gotten fingerprints on there, but we're just going to go ahead. And you can see here that it's hidden behind. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and stamp this larger tree. This tree is part of the snow front. The deer was part of Nature's Beauty. And I'm going to go ahead and ink that up. And I'm leaving the mask on. The tree is going to go right in here. And you can see part of that tree went over the mask. So when I take that away, it will look like that tree is behind the deer. Let me go ahead and do the other tree. All right. And then the smaller trees here in the background are from the Nature's Beauty set. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp those across here. On the card. And then the last thing that we're going to stamp in the Early Espresso is our saying. And this saying, "Enjoy the stillness of the season," comes from the Merry Moose stamp set. So I'm going to put that there. Okay. And now we're going to go to using Pool Party on our card. Now, I'm going to bring in another mask that I had already made of the deer and add it to this deer, simply because I'm going to be doing some of this snow or some of the lines from snow front there. So I'm just going to pull in another scrap, and I'm going to be using this stamp set from Snowfront, and I'm going to stamp that off and just kind of do a little bit here. It's very, very faint. A little bit down in here. Okay, and I think I'll do some over in here. I guess we have some dirty snow over here. Wonder how that happened. Maybe I'll put a little bit more back in here. All right. And then I'm going to do the sky up here. I'm going to use this stamp from Snowfront. I'm not going to stamp this off, and I'm just going to kind of just add in some of the blue. And I kind of felt like, even though this didn't actually cover everything up, you know, the sky isn't just one color. There are clouds in there, and so that's how I'm going to leave that. Okay, and now I'm going to pull my mask away. And you can see that the deer are in front of the trees, and one is kind of beside the other. Okay, now I'm going to use light crumb cake and dark crumb cake blends to color these in. And I'm going to start first back here on the trunks of these trees. And I'm just going to color those in. Just the larger part with the light crumb cake. Okay, and now I'm just going to color in both of the deer with a light crumb cake. And these pins do have a large end and a small end. Since these have some really small areas on these legs, I'm just coloring it with the smaller size. But I think I'm going to switch and do this inner part with the larger piece. And get that done a little bit faster. Okay. And then I'm going to go back and do this one with the smaller part in the smaller places. And I'm just kind of outlining him a little bit. And then I'm going to switch over and do the lighter color with the thicker brush. And I think that I'm just going to go ahead and maybe color a little bit of the snow, kind of like that's a shadow or something from him, since I have those fingerprints on there. Okay, and then with the darker, I'm just going to do a few highlights here and there, kind of like where some of these lines are. They're everywhere, but I'm just going to highlight a few of those and call it a day on the deer. Okay, and I think I'm just going to leave them that way. So this is the outside of the card. So I'm going to bring in my early espresso, and we'll just glue this to that layer. I kind of like to get my opposite corners and try to match the outside of the card that way. A little bit that came out. And then I'll bring in the card base and we'll glue that to the front. So you can see it is a simple flat card with just a couple layers, just one that you stamp on. That looks pretty. And then on the inside of the card, we used another saying that is from the Merry Moose. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. So I'm going to bring in my real red pad for that. And let me ink that up. So I didn't bring out the Merry Moose stamp set to show you, but we did use a few things from that. And in fact, this next thing is also from the Merry Moose stamp set. It's the scarf that I'm going to add to this moose on the inside. Now, you could put a scarf on the one outside if you wanted. So I'm just going to stamp that in the real red, and we will have to cut that out. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my deer. And that again will be in the early espresso. We'll go ahead and color him quickly. You get my smaller end. Oh, I got the dark. I'm going to change that. That is the light. Sure looks dark, doesn't it? Okay. So this is the light crumb cake that I'm using to color, and I'm using the smaller end. I'm just kind of outlining him a little bit. And I'm just going to move to the bigger end, the bigger tip. And color in that outside, or color in the inside. And then we'll just take the smaller tip of the darker and just highlight some things. Just trying to give him a little variation in color. Okay, I think that's fine. And then we will have to fussy cut our scarf. Now I did hear that even though I've mentioned the stamp set Mary Moose a couple of times, the punch for the Mary Moose set in North America is gone. So you can still get the stamp set. You cannot get the moose punch any longer. And let me just tell you as a warning, with the holiday catalog, as it's getting closer to the end of the catalog, most of these items will be as supplies last. So far, we don't know what will be carried over. So I can't give you any advice as to what will keep going and what will not yet. I think that'll be out in maybe another week or two. They'll release that list. But as of right now, we don't have it. Okay, so I finished the inside of the card. Let me bring back our other card, and we'll put that in. And I can see that what I have here, my inside is a little bit smaller than this original. And I also added some snow. So let me bring in this snow set here. And I could add in the mask around the deer again. I'm not going to do that. I am going to bring in just a piece of scrap white and just hold it there while I do some of that snow around the deer. Okay, so there we go with our stamp set, or with our card. And again, let me show you the stamp sets that we used for our card. And that was Nature's Beauty, found in the very back of the holiday catalog, and then Snowfront. I'm really hoping that Snowfront will be one of those that carries over, because it goes well with a set that's in the annual catalog. I think that's called Waterfront. So hopefully they'll keep those since they work so well together too. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you need any supplies, you can find a link to my store at lovetocreate.typepad.com, or there will be a link to my store on this YouTube video. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.